What is up, guys? I am 87% sure we're live right now and that everything's working. So, I mean, that's like a good solid B. So, yeah, normally this show is pretty terrible. Today is not one of those days, guys. I am joined by the one and only. Like, I feel kind of stupid, like, trying to introduce you because, like, somebody would not know who you are in this podcast. But yeah, Big Fry's here. Thank you so much for being here, man.
What up, y'all?
Yeah,
Thanks for
dude.
having me, by the way.
Heck yeah, thanks for taking the time to come on. I'm really excited to share this with my little community. And for those of you guys who are new here, you'll see at the top and you'll see on the screen, chat is on the screen for a reason, and that's because I want you guys to be a part of the show. So when somebody watches this back in VOD, your guys' opinions and comments matter, and they're on the screen for people when they watch it back because you guys are important to me. And yeah, let's get right into it. What have you been playing lately?
Just a bunch of Caliber, and then in my off time, just been playing World of Warcraft and Battlefield 2042.
Nice. Still one of the few out there fighting the 2042 fight, huh?
Yeah, no, that was a lie. Nobody plays that. Yeah, no, just been playing a lot of Caliber lately. Just kind of waiting for new shooters to come out, man. It's dry as hell out there.
That's where it's at, dude. That's where we're at. I mean, it's been rough for a little while. There's some stuff on the
Yeah,
horizon though. We'll definitely get into that a little bit later. But first, I kind of want to go like a little bit back in time to when,
sure.
like you starting your channel and stuff like that. And we talked about this before we went live, like how hard it is to grow a channel these days and just to have a big YouTube channel. It's like I feel like back in the day, like when you would talk to kids, or like when I was a kid and somebody asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" It's always like an astronaut, or I want to be a football player. But now it's like if you ask a kid, "I want to be a streamer, I want to be a YouTuber."
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize that this is something that you were going to be successful at and it's something that you wanted to do?
Successful ad? Yeah, I don't know if I ever thought I was going to be successful, but no, man. I was watching Total Biscuit back in the day, and he was growing a community. He played a lot of different games, and he did a mailbox series where a bunch of people would just like send him messages. He would respond to it, and they would just have a conversation. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. And that was around the time that Arma 3, I think, was just hitting alpha. So 20, end of 2012, 2013, sometime in there. And I just started tinkering around, learning video editing, Photoshop, all that stuff, and just kind of, oh, that was a nice little transition. Just kind of built from there, man. And then I started getting into like Kickstarters and got burned a few times, and that kind of made me start getting into early access and kind of the underbelly of FPS, and just kind of blew up from there. So
Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah.
What are some of the things that you've had to overcome, or what's been more challenging? Because I feel like myself included, like when I decided that I wanted to start trying to do my best to make content on a regular basis, what's been the most surprising thing about getting stuff out the door?
For me, and what I see a lot of people make the mistake of is they don't get their workflow down. The biggest thing is, I'll talk to people and they'll tell me it takes them 3 days to edit a video. Well, if you're talking about news, you're already losing the fight. So for me, man, as well as the biggest challenge, it was working a full-time job, and then coming home and working a full-time job, 16, 17 hours a day, just working on editing and logos and just graphic design. And there were days where I would come home just on a lunch hour, and I would have a video started, edited, or recorded, edited, out the door by the time I went back to work. Like it's just, you just got to be ready for it, and you just got to go. You just got to do it. We kind of talked about that beforehand, about the just wanting to get it out the door, making sure that people get it right.
Yeah, that sounds really familiar because I've had like
Yeah.
like a tweet go off on my phone at like 6 a.m. and I'm like, I
Yep.
got to get up and make a video before work, or I've done
Yep.
the lunch hour thing, and yeah, I get it. And there's just like there's a lot of little things that have to fall into place, and like you have to get a thumbnail, you got to make sure your description's right, and it's just a lot of there's a lot more to
Yeah.
it than just making a video and getting it out there. And I will
Hmm.
100% agree. So far in my short journey, my small journey, albeit like on a smaller scale, That workflow is incredibly important. If the more stuff you can get like prepackaged and ready to go where you have to talk, and I try to record and shoot for the edit so I don't have to make very many cuts. I can drop it, render
Yep.
it, and yeah, 100%. I think that's super good
Do you
advice.
script your videos?
No. Um,
Yeah.
what I do is I'll make like a notepad, kind of like I sent to you, with just the things I
Yeah.
want to hit, and then I'll just look at the camera and go and talk. Because if I read something, I look like a doofus, like even more than I normally do.
Like I remember being at work, I see a tweet go out about something I want to talk about, and then all morning I would just be thinking about, okay, what am I going to say? Get home, one take it. Didn't script, didn't write anything, one take, throw it into Premiere, and we're off to the races.
Yep.
Yeah. I've been able to take more time now and script stuff and kind of write down my thoughts and kind of get more organized with it. But yeah, those early days, it was just all about getting out there.
Yeah, I do have to admit though, I'm not generally a one take Andy. I mess up like 3 or 4 times and start over. I won't like it and I'll start
Yeah.
over. But it's usually one. Once I hit it, usually third time's a
Yeah.
charm. I get through it.
Nice.
But yeah, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
really similar to how I'm having to run things. But
Yeah.
yes,
It's a lot, man.
dude, it is. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, here's a good idea. Let's start a podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
There
lot
we
on your
are.
plate, eh?
So as far as what you have on your plate, see that transition? What you what you
That was
have
good.
going
That was
on?
really good.
Yeah, I've been seeing your videos about your Game Jam Summit, and I want to talk a little bit about that and also learn more about it because I think it's really cool. Um, I feel like it's really easy for YouTubers and content creators to kind of say, why doesn't a game have this feature, or why doesn't somebody build a game like this? There is a lot. I think there's a massive knowledge gap with creators, and I will 100% admit I'm one of those that don't know what it takes to develop a game. And you can kind of sit back here and criticize it, but I feel like this is something that's kind of attacking that knowledge gap, and at the same time like allowing newer developers to enter the industry. Is that kind of what you
Yeah.
got going?
So it's kind of a two-pronged thing. So with the game jam itself, one of the things we talk about a lot is like guys come out there and their first game, they want it to be this sorry, this open world, survival game, and they don't have a lick of knowledge. They're jumping in, they're using blueprint templates that they're getting online, and they're selling at 20, $30, and it's just it's not good. So with the game jam, we're allowing devs to come in for a 5-day span. We give them a theme on the Monday, and it's by Friday, have a game done, and we'll rank the best ones, and we'll give the best ones, we'll just throw up some money. And it teaches devs about scope. You have to be, you're not going to make an FPS in a week, and if you are, you're a god. We had a couple people submitted on the last one, right? So it's all about learning what I can do in the time frame allotted. And yeah, that's going to be a huge event. We got a lot of guys from the industry, Tripwire, Photon, guys who are working on these engines that developers are using. We're having events every day, and that's going to be just a nice give back to all the indie devs. I'm very excited to see what people come up with there. But then on the other side, we got a game development project going on right now. I can't talk a lot about it because I want to kind of get further in development before we really get into the nitty gritty of things. But yeah, I'm starting that game dev journey with a team of people around me who are just absolute geniuses when it comes to FPS, and they know what I want, they know what the industry needs, and we're starting that process, and it's going to be nice.
That's really cool that I feel like you're doing it. Like people talk about like somebody needs to build a game like this, or this is how a game
Yeah,
needs to be, and we all just kind of get used to sitting back here armchair quarterbacking game
easy.
developers.
Mhm.
I don't know. A lot of props to you, man, for doing that. That's really cool. You're rolling up your sleeves, getting in there, and you're gonna make something. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, I'm scared because man, I like you want to talk about armchair critics. I am one of the biggest ones out there. So one thing that we just have to make sure of on our messaging is our first game isn't going to be a revolutionary, game-changing project. But if we can get our foot in the door and start learning about, you know, scope, budgeting, for me, project management and leading people to make products, then we can take in the next and iterate and iterate. And then eventually, yeah, we want to get into some really nice like multiplayer shooter, nice tactical shooter stuff. And we just want to bring the industry back a little bit because as you know, it's going to hell in a handbasket real fast.
It
So
feels like it. Yeah, and that's awesome. And I don't, just from an outsider, that sounds incredibly smart. Kind of walk before you can run kind of thing,
yeah.
get something and you're going to learn stuff. And that's one of
Oh
the
yeah.
questions from one of my viewers is there anything that you learned that was surprising along the way so far?
Oh man, like we're currently in concept stage, and the biggest thing that I'm learning so far is just I kind of look at it like a puzzle. You got to get the right people, you got to get the right pieces, and we're currently in that separating all the puzzle pieces, and now we're starting to put it all together. I've learned a lot just about how to keep everybody organized with things like perforce and ClickUp and that kind of initial setup process. It's been nice. It's been fun. A lot of emails, a lot of meetings and discussions and concepting and design and it's stuff I knew, but until I've done it, you don't really know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I've been there with some projects myself.
yeah.
Speaking of the game concept, is there anything that like made you have to like switch directions midstream when you found something was like too big of a challenge, or have you stayed pretty true to your initial concept?
So our initial concept was that we wanted to make something lower in scope for a nice budget and that we can do in a decent amount of time. So we were talking between doing things like a 2D kind of side scroller or do we do an FPS? And we leaned into the FPS because that's what my community likes. So we're going to be making it for them. In terms of like cutting stuff down, at this point it's pretty set in stone what we have. Obviously we've thrown ideas around. It's like, is this feasible or not? But for the most part, I think we're all kind of on the same page for what we can do in the time frame that we want to do it in. So it's been really really nice, and I'm just glad that I got a team around me that knows the process, because I'm learning from them every day. Just how do we go about getting the people in the right positions, getting the budget together, getting everything together. It's nice.
Yeah, that's super awesome. That I mean, that's before you even get going. That's one of the most important things I found out in my real life job is getting the right people around you makes it so
Mhm.
much easier. And that's awesome. You found a really good team. That's
Yeah,
super
I
cool.
feel very confident that this first project we want to do is going to be a quality tactical FPS. I know that for a fact because I've already played the prototype that these guys have put together in just a short couple of weeks. It was feeling great, and I
That's
know
cool.
that with and we just today we got some concept art designed up. We got their narrative on the go, and yeah, I'm excited to start getting into it, and really I can't wait to show it off to people. So
Heck yeah, dude! I can tell you're excited about it, and that makes me excited
you know,
because you of all people know what a good game is and what it isn't, and if you're excited
yeah,
about it, I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see more
oh
about it,
yeah,
dude. This is gonna be cool.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I think that is pretty much about that. Some of that question we'll get into later. So overall, how I kind of wanted this to flow, and it doesn't matter how it flows, but how I envisioned it was to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the AAA versus the indie space. This is kind of a FPS show where we kind of cover stuff all across the gamut, kind of depending on what's going on that week. Try to make it somewhat of a new show, but I thought it'd be really cool with someone of your knowledge to just kind of get your opinions on the thing as a whole. And I was gonna start to see what you thought of this statement. So I think we'll go AAA versus indie, and then talk about games inside of each of those categories and kind of what you think of them and where
Okay.
that segment of the industry is headed. So for me overall, like my elevator pitch, if somebody imagine this, if somebody was like, "Hey Crash, what do you think? What do you think of the first person shooter space?" I would say I feel like
Mhm.
AAA feels like money and microtransactions is its main driver. Games are designed to make money. I think design decisions at the AAA space and corporations are made by um, financial analysts rather than game developers. And I
Mhm.
feel like indie has a little bit more promise, in my opinion, being the boomer that I am, because they have a little bit more freedom, I feel like, and they take a little bit more risks. We talked a little bit about Marauders. Some indie games take more risks, but I feel like some of them, and this goes along with some of your last videos, I feel like there's starting to be like a little bit of that microtransaction NFT thing leaking over into the indie space. It's kind of polluting that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think I mean specifically with the crypto and stuff, I think that's going to leak into the AAA space as well. Like when you look at like Ubisoft Courts and they're pushing NFTs, and I mean at this point, like I really feel like this is a conversation you have to define what an indie is. You know, when I was growing up, indie games were Concerned Ape, Stardew Valley didn't have a publisher, built it all himself. But when you talk like Marauders has Team 17 as a publisher. They got the resources, games like World War III. They're kind of blending the lines between what AAA or even a double A is and indie, right? Um, but I think you're right. I mean, Web3 and blockchain is something that we could talk about for hours. But yeah, AAA is driven by finances first. 100%. And we've seen that more and more. It's almost like games nowadays, at least in that space, are being concepted and designed not by the people making them, but by the shareholders and the board and the guys who think that we can put something out there that's on trend to get as much money as possible.
Yeah, and I
And then they
think
take the concept. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was
Well,
gonna
I
say,
was
and then they
just
take that concept, they water the shit down, and then fill it with microtransactions as well. So we're getting hit three different ways, and it's just sad.
Yeah, it's case in points. Battlefield 2042 with it. It went in like three different directions, and you can tell it tried to do a little bit of Apex because, as I learned in the EA earnings call, they make an ass load of money from Apex Legends. So they tried to do the hero shooter thing, and Warzone was popping off. Tarkov, so they tried to do the Hazard Zone thing with the Extraction Royale thing. They tried to throw that in there, and then they tried to do like the Call of Duty like style movement, like there's no leaning and stuff like that, and the gunsmith stuff. It's like they tried to be everything except Battlefield, and I feel like you're gonna get you're gonna get like weird stuff about that, and I could go on about that too, because like in that earnings call they said they didn't talk about Battlefield at all, and somebody finally asked a question like, where are you guys at? And Andrew Wilson said, we're taking a long-term view of this thing. And he said, but let's see, how does he say that? He's like, we're redesigning how we develop these games from the ground up. And he said they want to do a Vince Zampella formula of get to the fun fast. And then I think, why not a Battlefield formula? Like, you want to do the Vince Zampella Modern Warfare Apex Legends thing, just do a Battlefield concept. Like, why? I don't know. Like,
but at this stage of the game, what is a Battlefield concept?
True, but overall, I feel like the recipe was out there. The community they wanted Battlefield 4 setting. They wanted the atmosphere of Battlefield 1 and the map design of that, and then like the movement and some of the mechanics from Battlefield 5. And I feel like mainly just the movement. Everything else was kind of not that great, but about Battlefield 5. But like those three games kind of into one in a modern setting, I think the community would have been happy with.
Where do you make money?
I think the way they did, selling it off the rip. I don't know. Like, yeah, and I get that. The specialist thing is like the hero shooter deal is so hard for companies to not try, right? Because they see things like live services with Apex Legends and Rainbow Six and Overwatch and all those hero shooters that make all that residual money down the line with those hero shooters. So I definitely get that.
Yeah, like I get why they're looking at Battlefield and they want to make more money. I totally get it because they have to. Right. If a game, and granted they didn't, but when you're talking about shareholders and stuff, you're kind of beholden to them. And I understand that. And that's why games nowadays just feel like they have no passion from the big guys, because they aren't, it's not 20 years ago where it's a bunch of guys in a room trying to code and create something cool. Right. They got shareholders and they got they got a number they got to hit. I just wish that people would take the Fortnite approach in which not necessarily go free to play, but when you look at how they made their money, you know, just give us cosmetics. If the game is good, people will buy them, and you guys can just make money hand over fist. Give us more content post launch, but it has to start at the core. And Battlefield, I mean, anybody could tell you they changed development halfway through from a battle royale to whatever the hell it is that we got, because that game, just a core fundamental piece of software, was trash. It was so buggy and broken.
Yeah, it was rough. It was as rough as Battlefield 4. And a lot of, like you said, a lot of the design decisions don't make sense. And like the massive maps with 128 players, it's like they doubled the player count and quadrupled the map size. And
Yeah.
I remember when they talked about it, like how this was going to play. They did one little like dev blog thing where they talked with the devs, and they said they wanted the gameplay loop to be like vehicle driven, where there's points of interest and you take vehicles to the next places. And it's like, that sounds like a battle royale. Like, that doesn't sound
Yeah.
like a map with flow to it that's going to play well in breakthrough conquest and all that stuff.
One thing I would challenge you on too is I actually think Battlefield 4 wasn't as broken as this, because the launch was terrible. The servers were wrecked and we couldn't get in. But the ones who could get in, there was a Battlefield game there. You know what I mean? This game, just at its core, I mean, yeah, you could get in, but do you even want to play it? You know?
Yeah, and I've said that too quite a bit. Is like, once everything is fixed, if I'm sure they usually do. Like, unfortunately, like, I think it was a weird flex when they said DICE is really good at fixing the game and making it what they want. It's like, I wouldn't brag about that, but having to do that all the time. But
yeah,
yeah, like you said, when this game is fixed, I still don't really like the design choices. I don't think it's going to be a fun game. Not into it. And that's, you're right, that's the difference. Battlefield 4, once it was fixed, was a shitload of fun.
yeah, and like I'm watching this trailer you put up here, this Exodus. Where was this? Like, when
Yeah.
we were talking before we went live, their
Oh,
marketing was the best part about this game. And like, I'm
dude.
seeing this and like, wow, what kind of hype would that have brought?
Oh
And
man.
then nothing.
It did. I remember I was co-streaming this, like, when it happened. We were so freaking hyped, man. Like, I'll probably look back on it as like some of the coolest moments of my content creation career, like, as short and
Yeah.
whatever as it is. Like, I just remember watching this and people seeing Irish and everybody just going crazy in the chat and stuff, and it was so cool. We're like, oh, we're gonna get Battlefield 4.5. You know, it's gonna be
Yeah.
Battlefield 4 with updated graphics and mechanics, and it's gonna be awesome. And like, the marketing just did not match the game. Like, you
Not at all.
go from this to don't be sad, this is how it works out
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, how in the
Yeah.
fuck do you get there?
And you're selling fucking Woody and Santa skins. Like, what are we doing? And that's the main thing, man. When you look at games like World War III and you see how their cosmetics all kind of, sit within that world, I really wish more games would take that approach when you're talking about like cosmetics, whether it's, a battle pass or whatever. Just keep it all grounded. When we're talking about Santa suits and all this other crazy, wacky, whoa, Fortnite, you take the finance out of it, or take the finance and use that, but just keep everything within the world that you're building. I don't get why more companies just don't get that.
Yeah. And like, devil's advocate, there's a lot of people that say, oh, you just want military type skins, that's boomer mentality or whatever. But it's like, you can have a game that has awesome atmosphere. Battlefield 1, incredible atmosphere,
Yeah.
audio, the
Yeah.
soldiers looked like they were from that time, but it still had arcade style gameplay. Not everyone wants to play an Arma or a Tarkov, but they still want to feel like they're immersed in this dark, gritty battlefield. And that's why I think games like those Battlefields did so good, Call of Duties did well, is because you could still get into those and you could kind of go there in your head and be kind of immersed in that, at the same time still having like accessible mechanics, like arcade style gameplay mechanics that aren't too hard to learn. I think that's the perfect spot.
Anybody who says that's boomer mentality is just, I mean, it's just an idiot, because I'm buying the game based on the atmosphere and the marketing that they're selling, right? So now you're putting in content that doesn't fit with the atmosphere of the game that I'm purchasing. That doesn't make sense. That should be a staple, like common sense, but apparently it's not.
Yeah, and it totally, it totally makes sense from that marketing standpoint, right? Like they get all the people, which I would say based on how they release things, the majority who want a dark, gritty, grounded game that they can kind of be immersed into. And then once they get all that, those sales, and then they start to the skins get wackier and wackier as you
Mm-hmm.
go, and it's like they're shifting demographics so they can get money from all
Yep.
across the sectors. Because if they started with wacky skins, then there'd be a demographic of people they didn't want. It's really smart. I feel like they start with
Yep.
the older, well, whatever, I don't, not necessarily older, but the dark, gritty crowd, and then they get crazier and crazier, and they just cover the gamut of demographics for
Yep.
microtransactions.
Yeah, yeah, you nailed it right there. It's disgusting, but it's smart at the same time. And like I
Yeah.
hate that I understand it, but I just I don't know. I wish there was still some passion there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I honestly, I don't care too much about the cosmetics. Like I can get around them if the gameplay is good. It's not, it's like not my choice to have like crazy cosmetics, but if it plays well, like I'll get over it kind of thing. Um, and
For sure.
Battlefield just doesn't have that. I always joked around that they spent all 3 years they had making the tornado and then like 6 months on the rest of the game.
Pretty much. Yep.
It's what it felt like. Um, Kind of opposite of Battlefield. I wanted to get your opinion on this game. Did you play BattleBit Remastered?
I did play Battle Bid. Yeah.
I feel a lot of people are kind of getting excited about that game, like re-releasing again, and I wanted to get your opinion on it because I personally thought it's a really interesting paradigm, a way to look at games. It feels like with Battlefield and stuff, they're going like new engines and trying to make games look more and more realistic, and the, you know, upgrading to Unreal 5 and all that stuff. And BattleBit just completely threw that out the window. And you know, they're, it looks like Roblox or Minecraft, but that lets them focus on like everything else. It lets it run on a potato machine and still get good
Yep.
frames. They focused on features, server browsers, dragon players, and really good gun customization and reticles. And I think it's a really interesting way they're looking at developing that.
Yeah, and well, and the cool thing about that too, you nailed it all. I don't know if you ever remember the game Due Process, but when
I
it
watched some
first,
videos.
yeah, so when that first came out, it was like Roblox. It was, the block hand, really terrible, gun models and everything else. And then they built it into something that looked just so much better. So the cool thing about BattleBit is there's a lot of potential there to eventually get nice character arms, get nice models, and turn that into something else. But they don't need to, because if the gameplay is solid, and you're right, it can run on pretty much anything at this point. It's going to capture a crowd. I just wish that more people would give it a chance and not say, "Oh, it looks like Roblox. I'd rather play Battlefield." Well, now you're just trapping yourself in shitty, you know, passionless experiences. BattleBit was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm kind of sad I didn't play it because, admittedly, I'll admit I was one of those idiots. I I was like, I don't play Minecraft, and I didn't give it much more of a look.
Yeah,
And then I've seen some people make videos on it and watch people play it, and I saw them like dragging their buddies behind the wall to revive them
yeah,
and stuff, and all this stuff that's been supposed to come to Battlefield for like 10 years.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad at myself, but I learned my lesson. Like when it comes back out, I want to give it a try again. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Well, and that's another thing too. Like you mentioned, Roblox. Roblox has some experiences on there that rival AAA in terms of features, and like it's crazy that we can get better experiences out of indies or Roblox mods than we can get from 1,000-person studio, billion-dollar company. It just doesn't, like, when you say it, it does not make sense to me why
Yeah,
we're in the state that we're in. That we have to have a podcast like this where we talk about the state of AAA FPS versus indie. It makes no sense. It
yeah.
shouldn't be that way.
And I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think of like what, and I still want to get back to the Web3 NFT stuff too, before we get too much
Yeah.
farther, before my boomer brain forgets about it. But I'm trying to think of like what games are successful right now with AAA. In my opinion, I'm not really excited about very many. I know Apex is doing amazing, uh,
Yep.
money wise. CS:GO esports is still pretty wild. Valorant
Yep.
and those competitive games have a following because of like the competitiveness of it. But like
For sure.
as far as like it just come home and you got a couple hours before bed and you want to chill and run around and shoot some dudes, like What do you
No,
play?
you're at this point you're either playing the Modern Warfare or the what was the latest one, Vanguard, or you're touching games like Insurgency Sandstorm,
Yeah,
which
that's a
I
good game.
know a lot of people aren't touching it. Right? It's a good game, great game. One of the
Yeah,
best FPSs that you can play on PC, nobody's touching it. There's a
yeah,
reason for it, which I'm sure we can get into in a little bit, but um yeah, there's not a lot of good FPSs out there right now that feed that need, that aren't a battle royale, that aren't a hero shooter,
yeah. And even
you know?
Call of Duty makes it tough to just chill and play because of the skill-based matchmaking. It's so sweaty. Like
True,
if you
true.
do well a couple games, like hang on because it gets
Yeah,
worse.
well, and we were actually having a conversation in the Discord about it with Modern Warfare 2. I don't mind skill-based matchmaking, but Call of Duty's is it's so sudden. You can do good in 2 games, and then it throws you into a fucking esports lobby, and then you lose, and it throws you back with people who look like they just plugged in their keyboard for the first time. Like, if it was a nicer transition to where it got increasingly a little bit more difficult, I would be okay with that, and then it could find a place to put you, but it's like it doesn't know where to put anybody.
Yeah,
You're just yo-yoing all the time.
yeah. I wish my perfect world, and this again, this could be an opinion based with a lack of knowledge of development, but and how it would actually work looking at data. But I feel like it should be a lot more lax and based on connection. But then you have kind of like a protected class of people who are like you can tell by their play style who are really new, and then kind of everybody else together.
Yeah.
The way it is now, it's like you never feel like you get any better because like the better you
Yep.
play, the worse like the harder it gets. But I'm
Mhm.
excited for Modern Warfare 2 a little bit. Your video about that I think hit the nail on the head where it's like that thing, we can talk about that game for a little bit. It needs to be good.
Yeah. It at this point, I think if Modern Warfare 2 comes out and it's bad, what else are you looking forward to? What else
Yep.
is out there? It's the last bastion of quality AAA, I think, is this game right here. And that's sad.
Yeah. And I still play it. I'm kind of happy that the leaks said that gunfight's coming back because I have a
Mhm.
buddy and we'll still go back and play gunfight. I thought that game mode was like super cool. Just
Yeah.
really tactical, and it's like if you're good you win, if not you don't. There wasn't a lot of like
Mhm.
kill streaks and stuff like that, so I'm excited to see that. I kind of want to get into search and destroy more when this comes out because
Ooh.
I still play a lot of I play a lot of Rainbow Six Siege still, and
Okay.
I kind of want to take a COD at the beginning and learn S&D and the maps and stuff like that. So I think with this one I'm gonna
That
try.
man, when 2019 came out, that's all we played. We'd throw on hardcore, like no HUD, and then just do search and destroy one life modes. And that was nice. That was like a AAA insurgency at that point. Um, and then yeah, we kind of just jumped into like Warzone, and then the 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 multiplayer just kind of fell off the map a little bit. Oh, you're muted for me.
Oh yeah, with War, I was trying to keep the dog from barking. I tell you, this show stinks, man. Um, no, I was
No, you're
trying.
good.
I was yeah, like the with the microtransactions and everything, and the content creation blowing up around Warzone. I feel like multiplayer just kind of took a back door. All the streamers and stuff are
Yeah.
playing Warzone, and like that's the thing. But I'm excited to see if multiplayer can like make a comeback and be fun and well rounded.
Yeah, I hope so.
Miss it a little bit. Um,
Yep.
I wonder what do you think about the DMZ mode that's
Mm.
rumored? I'm incredibly skeptical after being burned on Hazard Zone. Um, but
Yeah, fair enough.
what do you think about that? I feel like and I guess a broader question is, do you think extraction royale modes with the success of Tarkov are kind of going to be the next BR and grow?
Yeah, I think that's where the industry is going to start moving. Or if DMZ comes out and it is what it is on paper, it's going to be a good experience, I would think, right? And if it is, I feel like a lot more people are going to look at that as the blueprint. You know what I mean? That's going to be the next like battle royale, I think, is the extract style game. And whether whether it's going to be a really detailed game like a Tarkov or a more casual experience like a Call of Duty, I feel like there's a lot you can do with it, a lot more than, a circle closing with 100 people playing. There's so many ways you could take it and be unique. I see you're playing Marauders right now. Like there
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you could do with that just extract style concept. And yeah, I see that's where it's going.
I think so too. I have a little bit of skepticism though, because of, as someone who's really enjoyed Tarkov this last wipe, I don't know if there's a way to get that same feeling without the complexity of the looting system and the economy. And I don't know how that's going to fit into Call of Duty, where they traditionally make things pretty accessible and kind of shoot for that mainstream audience. I think that's a fine line that's going to be hard to find.
I don't think the experience is going to be Tarkov like though. I think it's going to be more, and I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be more on the Hazard Zone side of things with like accessibility and streamline. I don't think there's going to be things like a hideout where you're looting a bunch of stuff just to collect it. I think it's going to be more competitive, where you have teams dropping in and whatever the objectives you have to do. I think there's a space for that, and I think a lot of people would really like it as like a replacement for battle royale. But I definitely don't expect a Tarkov like experience with something like this. It could be cool. Will it replace Tarkov for most Tarkov players? Probably not.
Right.
But
That does
I think there's room for both.
that makes sense, because I did say, and I still think this is true. Hazard Zone was like the skeleton of a good mode. Like
Hmm.
the gameplay loop was cool the first couple times you played it, and then after you extracted, you never had to worry about money again. So like it didn't like
Right.
matter. And there was pretty
Yeah.
soon it's like, all right, guys, we're going in. We're gonna get some hard drives. Well, why are we doing
Yeah.
that, sir? So we can go back in and get more hard drives later. It's like,
Right.
okay, this is kind of silly, but like I think having a AAA game with those accessible mechanics, if you added, I was trying to think of what you could add to Hazard Zone. Like, I mean, have a cosmetic store that you use those currencies to buy cool cosmetics you can rock in multiplayer and brag like how
Yep.
good you are in Hazard Zone, or
Yep.
challenges. And it would have been the perfect game mode for events. And I think Call of Duty, if that's the route they go, I think that makes sense what you said. That kind of clicked the light bulb on for me, that they could take a game like Hazard Zone and have those mechanics, and then just it needed more stuff, and it could have been okay.
Yeah, I
I
think
feel
the
like,
biggest thing they got to get over, like you said, is why am I going back in? With Warzone, I mean, why are you going back in? It's just because of the competitive nature of it. But if they
mhm.
can stack and have objectives and challenges, and like you said, skins that you can take and you can only get them in that mode, and if the mode is good, then you can rock them in multiplayer as well. Like they could do some really cool things. Apparently the mode has also been in development for, is it 4 years now?
What they
Because it was
said,
supposed to
yeah.
launch in 2019, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not expecting Hazard Zone, and if it is, like, what the fuck? But I'm expecting something a little bit more fleshed out and a little bit more in depth than a Hazard Zone. So
It might be pretty cool. Yeah, I'm definitely excited
I'm
about that.
hoping.
Really, the only thing that I play anymore with COD every once in a while is I'll do a little bit of gunfight, and then I don't hate Rebirth Island with some
Love
friends.
that mode.
It's
Yep,
pretty cool.
love that. That's that.
It kind of takes the shitty part of a battle royale out, like the wait,
Mhm.
like you sit there and you wait for your guys to try to buy you back, or in PUBG you
Yep.
just sit there with on your butt like watching them. So
Yeah, and
it's
the
cool.
the biggest thing too with Warzone is that downtime in the middle of games. Unless you're pushing and always moving, a lot of people play battle royales, and there's just that you loot real quick and then downtime. Okay, let's just move, follow the circle, and then it's big at the end. But man,
Yeah,
Resurgence, or what is it, Rebirth Island,
yeah,
dude,
research and
you're
stuff.
in and
Yeah,
you're shooting people instantly. I love
yeah,
that mode. We
I
played
like
that a
it.
lot on stream back in the day.
Yeah, I like it. I still play it from time to time, just because I have some friends that they kind of just play Call of Duty, and I want to hang out with them. So we'll play that mode.
Right.
I enjoy it because it's like, yeah, you're in fights, and then it still has that excitement final circle at the end when Rebirth shuts
Hmm.
off, and it's a BR at the
Yep.
end, and that's the best part of the BR is the end. So like if you,
Yep.
yeah, you're not, yeah, it's a good mode. I hope they expand on that. I thought I saw rumors that they were gonna have like several Rebirth Island style maps for Resurgence, but I don't know that. I don't remember where I saw
the
that.
the
That's my
biggest thing
hope.
for us is when we played it, it was just we would have 4 people because it was quads, and then we would jump on and they would swap it to duos. So it was just constantly rotating the playlist. Just keep a separate playlist just for that, and I would have been playing it every single day.
Yeah, that's what they have now. I
Oh,
think
okay, cool.
it even has a solo mode. There's a
Oh
solo
shit.
rebirth. So like if you spawn in and if you live for like the 30-second timer, you'll get a respawn again. So you'll have another respawn. So you shoot and die, and then you spawn in, and if you live for like that next 30 seconds or a minute or something, then you get a respawn. So like you just can't die
Interesting.
right when you drop. Yeah, and they have duos, trios, and quads. Interesting along those lines. I think why they did that is I think a lot more people are playing Rebirth than you would think, because I saw Modern Warzone on Twitter did a poll and asked if your people were playing Caldera or if people were playing Rebirth, and it was like 70-30 people were playing Rebirth.
Oh shit.
J God did something like that too. I think a lot of people are playing Rebirth, so they finally did away with rotating playlists, and you got solos, duos, trios,
Ooh.
quads all the time, like
Man,
in
I might have to
perpetuity.
play that over Caliber some days then, because that's actually really dope. If we can plan for it and actually have a team. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I like it a lot. And yeah, now
Hell
I
yeah.
was the same way. It's like, oh, like you get like 3 or 4 guys. All right, it's trios. Let's go play. Oh shit, it's
Yep.
Thursday. They changed it. Never
Hmm.
mind. Now you got to do something else. But
Yep.
yeah, so
Yep.
they fixed that. But so I think
Awesome.
that covers AAA. Hopefully, I don't want to take your time too much. There's not a. I don't have you for a
Oh,
lot
you're
longer.
you're good. I got about a half an hour left before I got to head out of here, so you're
Okay,
good.
yeah, just let me know. Don't let me make you
Hmm.
late for anything. Um,
For sure.
So switching over to indie stuff, we talked a little bit about Insurgency. I have down here like Ready or Not, Squad, Caliber, and World War III. The ones I'm familiar with is I've played Insurgency. And what were you saying about like you don't know why there's some reasons people aren't touching it? Because I'm with you. That game plays really good. I think it has some of the. I think it rivals Hunt Showdown for some of the best audio in a
Yeah,
shooter.
I
Um,
agree. I actually think in terms of an FPS, it has one of the best FPS controllers on the market. The guns feel great, the leaning, the fluidity of the movement, everything is so good. The map design's solid, the visuals look great. Why isn't it bigger? And I think the reason is there's just nothing to play for. After you play that game for 5 hours, 10 hours, what are you doing? You're playing the same maps, you're running the same routes, you're doing the same things. And it's good for people who jump in once a week, play a couple of hours and then hop out and then, but for guys like us, we're playing games quite a bit. We're covering, we're playing more than the average. Why am I jumping into Insurgency? And I think it's the same thing for games like Squad and Hell Let Loose and why are you playing it? I think it's the reason why Tarkov is doing so well in comparison to all of those. There's something to play for. You're jumping in, you're leveling your character up, you're getting, your hideout built up. These games just don't offer anything to keep us engaged.
yeah,
That's really what it comes down
and
to.
I think I've noticed that too. Following games is like back in the day when you would play a multiplayer shooter for the first time, it's like, holy shit, I'm on the internet playing with someone else like so far away, and we can shoot at each other. This is
Yep.
great. That novelty is gone. So like,
Thank you.
it's like a drug to when we started playing like get that last circle of the battle royale and you get that tension, or in a 1v1 in a S&D and all your buddies are spectating,
Yep.
like, and that's what we need now. And I thought Insurgency, I wish they would do it. And you can tell me if they have something similar to this, because I haven't played it in a minute. But if they had like a ranked S&D, like a bomb mode, like CS:GO type mode in Insurgency,
Yeah.
I feel like I would hit that.
So when they first came out, they had ranked and it was great. Like I was a diamond player. I loved it. And then it became 15-minute queues because nobody played it. And then you realize, oh, I'm a diamond player in a game with 2,000 people. Big fucking deal. And that it's just another thing. It's not like when you're playing ranked, you're unlocking, like you can unlock cosmetics, but the cosmetics aren't, I don't know. They just didn't nail the, oh, I just unlocked something. Oh, I'm progressing. Oh, I'm doing this. Like it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they took the ranked mode out of it completely. You can't even queue for it anymore. So, and then I think when they went to consoles, a lot of the console crowd was asking for it, and they just said there's not enough players. We just didn't do it. So
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a shame because, like you said, that's a really good game. Every time I played it, I had pretty good fun. But yeah, at the end of the night, you kind of start to get a little bored with it.
yep.
Makes sense. But yeah, Yeah, the mechanics are so good. Again, I never played very much Hunt Showdown. I just am
Mm,
always so appreciative of the audio in Insurgency Sandstorm
yeah,
with like the echoing and the direction, and I feel like the footsteps are on point, and hearing grenades fall and like all that stuff is like money.
yeah, yeah. So quality.
So I guess I have an opinion on World War III. I want to hear yours first.
I want to hear yours first
Uh, well, I'll
because
show you mine
the
if
way
you
you
show me
start that up,
yours.
yeah, that's what it feels like. No, I'm curious because I feel like a lot of people know my opinion, but I'm curious to hear from you about it.
As someone who followed Battlefield and this game since 2018, I get some gnarly deja vu. And I don't like it. I don't feel good about it. With the, I felt like when they did their stress test and the servers are still crashing, it felt like the
Yep,
2018 release again. And uh, I see they'll make a post on Twitter. Like, I hate to be harsh on it because again, I'm an idiot that doesn't know how games are developed, but
just do it.
I see everybody's like, oh, keep working on it, guys. You got it. And I'm just over here like, man, we're seeing the same network issues we saw in 2018. You guys had a window
Mhm.
when people didn't like Battlefield 5. You got a window now where people aren't on Vanguard and they're not on, like, they have the same kind of window where people don't like 2042 either.
Yeah.
It's like, get it together. It's been like 4 years and people, I think it's just kind of, it's got a little bit more traction this time. So I feel like there's a misconception that it's a pretty new game, but
Yeah.
like we've been at this for a while.
Yeah. Well, I think too, it's the exact opposite reason why games like Insurgency aren't popping. There is progression, there are unlocks, there are all of these things with leveling and unlocking cosmetics and banners. But I think the networking to be able to have all of those together from an indie dev like that is tough, you know.
It
But you're
has.
right. Like people have been asking me why I don't play anymore. It's like I've been playing the same four maps since 2018, guys. There has been nothing added. Yeah, they've reworked a lot of things and the game's in a better spot. They fixed the audio and stuff, but like it's the same content. We like the same server problems, the same everything, you know. And that's the thing. I kept them, I kept the notifications on Twitter, and every day it was just, oh, server maintenance. All right, server
Yeah.
maintenance is done. And then the next day, same thing. I just like, and you're right, man. They've had so many opportunities to kill it and to get people on board, jump from other games to a quality shooter like that. And they have fumbled the ball a million times already.
And
I'm sick of it at this point.
honestly, it comes down to the networking stuff, right? Because
Yeah.
let's not get it twisted. The progression's good. The customization is the gold standard for a shooter, what they should be, where you can
Mhm.
change and mix and match all your outfit and everything. I think that's the way to go. I feel like the lack of identity in hero shooters kind of sucks. If you can build your soldier how you would want to dress and how you would want to
Yep.
look, it's so much more immersive, and they kill that. The gun customization is amazing.
Yep.
I feel like the audio needs some work and the networking, but it's just like so frustrating that we can't quite cross the finish line
Yeah, and the
with
thing
it.
is back in the day, if you've been following it since then, we had more maps. Like Smolensk was a
Yeah.
map that we played all the time, and they're holding that back for open beta. And it's like, when are we going to the open beta? Because I'm sick of playing Moscow. I'm over it.
Yeah,
You
because they
know?
just like indefinitely delayed it. What's funny is
Yeah.
people were taking, I back in the day when I first started my channel and was covering Battlefield, people were taking that Smolensk map and making it out to be Battlefield leaks. It was really funny. So
That's right. Yep.
there was a leak going around like, oh, this is from the new Battlefield, and I'm like,
Yep.
no, nope, that's World War III.
Yep.
I was like one of the only people
Yep.
that knew that because I'd played that. Like they need content badly, so bad.
Badly. And like I said, if you're jumping in and playing World War III once a week for an hour, you probably don't feel like that, you know. But there's nothing left to that. Like I have milked that game dry. The teat of World War III is just it's shriveled at this point.
Yeah, I'm still rooting for him though. I thought
Me
maybe
too.
like having my dot games would maybe help be the last little bit of help they need to get there, but it's
Yeah.
definitely better. But oh man, just so close.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like they're always like a couple of degrees off from just nailing it. And I don't know if they're ever gonna do it. I really don't. I think if it doesn't come out this year into an open beta release where we can get more content, like I don't know, man. It's
Yeah,
it's sad.
It has to, but at the same time, it's like, what's gonna beat it? There's like nothing out there yet. I don't
True. True.
know. That's like
Yeah, I mean,
devil's
yeah, you're
advocate.
right there. Yeah,
So
you're
yeah,
right.
while we're talking about indie games, I did want to talk about that NFT stuff. I know that's a trigger word for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I just kind of I wanted to devil's advocate it a little bit. I'm not listen, hey, I'm not saying that I support them. I'm just saying I've heard people say that they think it's cool because like you can buy stuff and it's like, or when you play and you actually earn money and you can sell it, like you couldn't sell something else,
Sure.
but you can sell this. Is kind of like the only pro I've ever heard. Like,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I feel like these World War III is an excellent illustration of how hard it is to get a first person shooter out the door with networking and everything as an indie developer, and then you add trying to do Web3 stuff on it to make money. It's just taking away resources that I don't think they can afford. Well, I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean that's one aspect of it. My thing is this: the value of selling a helmet in Ghost Recon Breakpoint to somebody else is negligent because who's looking for it? Who cares? You know, if you have a skin in World War III that you can sell to somebody else, that great. But now what happens when the game dies? Or what happens, like I said this in a video the other day, most of these games lose 80 to 90% of their player base in the first 30 days. So unless you have somebody who is a diehard looking to buy your helmet for a couple $100, like you're not going to find it. So it just comes down to, well, now you own an NFT for a game that's dead. But realistically, what people aren't talking about is the fact that if I buy a helmet in Breakpoint and then I sell it to somebody else, Ubisoft makes a cut of that sale. And then if that person sells it, Ubisoft makes a cut of that sale. And that, like, that's all it is. It's a money making scheme for them, which we've been nickeled and dimed for years at this point. And I keep saying we went from horse armor in Elder Scrolls to, I'm playing Caliber today, and every operator you can purchase with real money. You have to buy everything in that game. How did we get here? We're
Yeah,
talking about loot boxes and microtransactions, and we've been fighting so damn hard to get them out of there and make these companies realize that what they're doing is sad. And we've been doing a good job, right? Like they pulled the loot crates out of Battlefront 2 when people were bitching about it, and we've made some headroom there. And then now it's Web3, and now it's crypto, and now like there is no value to the player. And if you buy into the idea that you can sell your skin to somebody else, go do it. Good luck.
yeah.
Prove it
That
to
that
me
was
that you'll
kind
do
of
it.
that was kind of my thought. I was like, if you're like me and think these things are really sus, don't fucking buy them. Like that's like the
Yeah.
quickest way we can get rid of these things. And I have to commend you on your channel on pointing out those things that make it not a great deal for consumers at all. And I
Yeah.
hope not a lot of people are going to have to learn that the hard way. I hope people can kind of, I feel like they are overall kind of getting like a negative bad rap, and I just hope people don't freaking buy them like that. And
Yeah. There's
I
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I just was gonna say with crypto crashing and stuff lately, I hope people kind of
Yeah.
understand that like NFTs maybe aren't the cool. They're crashing like crazy too. So I just hope it goes away because it is crappy, and there's just so many hidden gotcha things that developers can do to skim money off the top on every transaction that no
Yep.
one talks about.
Exactly. Um, I I heard about some internal conversations happening at Ubisoft about the future of like NFTs, and they're doubling down internally. NFTs and crypto are here to stay. At this point, they have seen that the fact that they can make money off of every transaction, instead of selling you a skin once, they can make money off of it, 100 times if it transfers that much. Um, but yeah, it's just
And that
it's really unfortunate.
and that goes back right to exactly what we were saying with shareholders making the decisions. They
Mhm.
hear that NFT crypto buzzword, ooh, like
Yep.
they're excited. Yeah.
And like Blackout just pointed out in chat, they're marketing it as a way for you to own a piece of the game. I bought the game. I
Yeah.
already own the game. What are you talking about? But the way they
Yeah.
market it is so damn clever. It's like they make people feel like they're missing out of this exclusive club of NFT owners, but you're not missing out on anything. You can do that right now. If like you mentioned Counter-Strike earlier, you can sell your skins that you get in game on the Steam marketplace right now without crypto, without anything else. Some of those sell for 60 cents. Most of them sell for under $1. So what I mean, there it is right there. If you wanted to implement this idea of selling and owning a piece of the game, you already have the tech to do it. Why does it have to be on the blockchain?
Exactly. Yeah, the framework's already there, and people, yeah, it's
Yep.
silly. And I'm hoping, and with your channel and several others, people pointing out
Yeah.
these issues and these like missteps that people will learn, that just don't mess with it. That's really funny. You can own a piece of the
Yep.
game. It's like, dude, I own the whole thing. So
Yeah, I bought it already. But at the same time, do we own the games? Because if Steam goes
true.
down, we can't access it. It's weird. It's a weird time to be a gamer right
It
now.
kind of is. Yeah, you got to be paying attention. And I mean, mobile gaming's
Yeah.
even, I'm not going to get into that. Like the stuff you can buy on there and the pay to win
Jesus.
stuff. But
Oh God.
it's crazy. So, the couple things I wanted to talk about, because technically, guys, believe it or not, this is supposed to be a news show. Well, today it was much better than that. Having Big Fry on. Um, what do you think? I watched your last video about 9 to 5. It went 1.0 today, and
Yeah.
I think it's got from me, someone who hasn't played it, and I'm kind of a dum dum. It looks cool. The 3v3 concept is kind of cool, and having the lore behind it seems pretty neat. But 1.0 right now, I don't know if that's the play. What do you think?
Yeah, I gotta play it again. But when I played that initial release, they built it up. The marketing was this gritty, tactical, taking out like remember the bunnies were jumping on the screen. The guy shoots in, and it was. I remember they showed off developers from Arma 3, Max Payne, and they built it up and advertised it as this really gritty tactical shooter. And then when I got into it, it was super colorful. It didn't like the guns just felt like airsoft guns. There was this weird drone mechanic when you died. It wasn't a good piece of software. It was buggy. And maybe it's gotten better, but 9 to 5 is one of those games that's made by a lot of people that I respect in the industry, but that game just was not it. It was not that shooter.
I'm gonna try it again, but
You should. I'm curious because because the 3v3v3 aspect is a cool idea. But the way the game mode worked was if you did the first objective as a team, you guys got an advantage going into the second round, but it wasn't really an advantage. Like the flow of the match was really, really strange. I'm hoping they cleaned up a lot of stuff because like that's one game that I want to see succeed because of the people making it. But
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I hope it does. There's a lot of
me
those out
too.
there there's a lot of those out there that I feel like we're rooting for right now. We need them.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
the other thing that a lot of people are talking about, and I'm kind of excited at the potential here, being someone who hasn't really, everyone's going to leave the chat now, who hasn't ever played Arma. Guys, I like Tarkov. I like hardcore shooters. I like Insurgency, but I've never played Arma. But there is something happening. There's something brewing, and tomorrow it looks like
Yes.
something could go down. I pulled up the tweet. It looks like tomorrow around noon Central Time, they're going to talk about some stuff.
Yeah.
Anything you can add legally?
Legally, no. No. What I'll say is there's a lot of leaks out there. Um, just wait for tomorrow. If you're excited about the leaks, wait till tomorrow. That's really all I can say about it legally right now.
Cool.
Unfortunately, I don't like that things leak like that, but it is what it is. It's gonna happen. But yeah,
I'm saving.
tomorrow's gonna be really cool.
I'm saving myself. I'm remaining pure. Um, so I'll try to tune in while I'm at sucky work to see what's going on
Yeah.
with that. But as someone who hasn't played Arma, but I've enjoyed stuff like Squad, and all those kind of shooters like that. I'm pretty excited about the potential. Like, I mean, we always talk about Battlefield being a sandbox. I feel like Arma that's the definition of a sandbox, and
Yeah.
it could be pretty cool what they do.
Yeah, and one thing that like you got to notice too is the Twitter account is now called Arma Platform. Not a lot of people are talking about it, even with the leaks. Not everything has been leaked yet, so Yeah, there's a lot of cool shit coming down the pipe. I'm very excited. If you're fans of like, yeah, like other tactical shooters like Squad and stuff, I think you're gonna be pretty happy tomorrow. So
Cool. Yep. Yeah. Platform, like the name platform. Don't say anything to get you in trouble. Definitely not worth it. I'm not
sure,
like I'm not
for
trying to
sure.
pry at all, but
Yeah,
that,
no, I
that,
know.
that platform makes it sound more sandboxy. Like you can build
Yeah.
off of that. And honestly, I think games like that, like we didn't really talk much about Halo. Just, I don't think it warrants much discussion because of the lack of content with that thing. But like, I'm
Yeah.
excited to see Forge get into the hands of people. So, I mean, we can take some of these, this lacking content into our own hands and people can build their own maps and stuff like that. And I see potential in games like that because there's some really smart people out there and who have some time and use their skills and can help with content, like user
Yeah.
generated content.
I think user generated content is the way that most developers should start to go, because when we're talking about the content flow in games like Battlefield taking 6 months to get a scoreboard, if you built your game from the ground up that allowed mod support, you wouldn't even have to worry about, you know, a constant flow of content. You just let your community do it. But again, it just falls back to, okay, but how do we make money on it? Right.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. But I
Yeah.
really think in the future, a lot of indies are going to be leaning that way. Martin mentioned in chat Operation Harsh Doorstop. They're building a game with their community from the ground up that just has an SDK and a framework that allows you to just remod the entire game if you wanted to. And they're
That's
promoting those mods, and then they're bringing like the mod creators, the stuff they create, they're bringing it into the actual game itself. I really think like the collaboration there is something that a lot of studios could actually, draw a lot of inspiration from. But
And I feel like they tried to do that in Battlefield a little bit with Portal. I was initially really excited about Portal. I thought it was a really cool way for people to experience old content mixed together in like
yeah,
new ways by the community, but I just think the implementation of it was awful where like if the person who makes the game mode logs off for the day, the server's dead.
yep,
And
yep,
at the same time, like that just kills it. You can't rent a server, which
yep,
is horrible. At the same time, if you build something cool, there's like no way to get people to see it. Like you could build a
yep,
really cool game mode for 164 or 128 players, but I don't have that many friends that are gonna play.
right,
So like it just kind of sits there and there's just a lot of missed opportunity where there's no way to share, get people into your experiences. There isn't that culture like you're talking about where indie studios start from the ground up, say, hey, our game, a big pillar of it is going to be user generated content. That's just not there for Battlefield, and I think it shows a little bit with how many people
yeah.
use Portal.
I think Portal was an afterthought because they realized the main game was not going to make people happy. I think Portal was a way for them to lure in that, oh, it's a love letter to the fans. I think it was a marketing stunt more than anything, because you're right. If they truly wanted to make money, let me rent a server from you on a monthly basis and I will gladly pay, 60, 70, $80 a month and there's a recurring revenue source for you. It's like they don't even think about that kind of stuff that was in games a decade ago. We could do that shit. I'm pretty sure we could do that on consoles back in the day. But
Yeah,
yeah, Portal was such a such a everything in that game was a missed opportunity. Absolutely
yeah.
everything.
And
And
that's, we were
it's
talking
sad.
a little bit about how we went before we went live, how they knew the game was not in good
Yeah.
shape, and
Yeah.
that's why we didn't see any gameplay ahead of time. It just feels weird
Yep.
at
I think that's why
hindsight.
I went so hard. Like I've ripped them apart in videos. And I think it's mainly because of those tweets like we were talking about. You mentioned that one guy, it's not my first rodeo. Well, motherfucker, it feels like it was because you lied. The guy, and then the thing is all the guys at the top, they're gone now.
Yeah,
So like they threw it out the door, lied the whole way, and then left. So
yeah.
I have no sympathy for Dice right now.
He
None.
said it. He said it just needed more time in the oven, and
Yeah.
then yeah, and then like we were all. I just remember we're like, why aren't we seeing any gameplay? This is so weird. And like, oh, because they're
Yeah.
saying it's gonna be so good. Nope.
Nope.
Never again will that happen. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna.
I think a lot of people learned their lesson, which is a good thing. At the end of the day, a lot of people got taken for 60 to $100, but now we know, and now everybody's on the pulse when it comes to marketing. I think that's why Call of Duty is doing a different marketing strategy this time around. They're going back to the old way of doing things. I think it's
Yeah,
because they know.
That was cool. And I didn't realize that until I started making my video and reading that most recent article from Ralph's Valve. That I didn't even think of that. Like, they always reveal the games inside Warzone, and now they're going back to the old way of having, allegedly, their own way of reveal events on the 8th, I believe. Next one. And I thought that was interesting. Interesting shift.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
No, cool, man. Well, I want to be definitely respectful of your time and stuff like that. So we'll probably wind it down here.
Oh yeah,
if you're cool with that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
A lot of fun. I'll go ahead and play the outro if you want to hang on the call for just a second.
Sure.
But I do want to publicly thank you so much for coming on the show. I think it says a lot about your character, honestly, to take time to come on a smaller channel like this. Really fucking appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, no, I look at content first, man. I appreciate you inviting me on and reaching out. Shoot your shot, right? You did. I love it.
Why not?
Yeah.
Worst you could say is no. So
exactly. Yep.
All right, guys. Everyone in chat, thank you so freaking much for being here. My one podcast listener that listens to the audio only, still love you, dude. Yeah, thank you guys so much, everyone, for being here. It was great time. So we'll hopefully see some of you guys back next week.